Welcome in episode number 52 of the St0ner Sports Radio podcast. We will give you a Week 11 recap, and we'll give you the Week 12 and a half preview, as half of the games for the week are already finished here on this wonderful Saturday early morning, late Friday night after the turkey day for most of y'all. Who's drinking all the Kool-Aid? We'll let you know. It's maybe not as crazy as you think. And we'll take a trip down to the sports book, where Zach's looking to rebound and I'm looking to keep being good old consistent. We'll give the update how it's going and how much we're going to be able to bet coming into this week. Zach, how we doing on a Be Happy Friday Eve if you're on the West Coast? And here we are already into Saturday morning, but still, how are you? How are we doing?
You know, we're doing, the word I would use today is nice, because of the 69 points that OU scored.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the word to use, right?
Yeah, nice. I mean, I think it was 31 points. I think the final score was 69-38 against TCU. You know, a team that almost surprised Texas. You know, so I like how we played on offense. Defense was, as Brent Venables put it, an abomination to football in the second half.
Yeah, that is definitely hard words there. That is harsh. That is harsh. Don't harsh my mellow, but that's harsh in my mellow, man. Because Jesus Christ,
yeah,
that's
those
are some strong words. But the thing is like, you're right? Like there's no other words that he would use to describe it, because like that's literally like him, right? Like his identity is literally is literally defense. So I think that those words for him are very much accurate, but still harsh nonetheless. Big
sure.
points, giving up to TCU. So let's hop into this, right? Last week we're just gonna run through here, and we'll give you the top 25 matchups and go through them. Oregon takes care of Arizona State 49-13. Bo Nix accounts for 6 touchdowns and throws for 404 yards. I mean, are we still safe to say? I mean, let's not take tonight into consideration yet. We'll get there, but up to this point, aside from tonight, as I said, push it aside. Was that performance good enough to get him back on track or to stay in the Heisman Hunt lead? Like he's the odds betting favorite. Anything change after his win over a 6 touchdown performance over Arizona State?
No, he's still there. You know, especially if we're not taking tonight into consideration, he's still, he's there. Personally, I would give it to Penix. I think now, I'm not sure.
I was agreeing with that. I said tonight on the broadcast, I said this feels like a Penix trophy. You know,
that's what I feel.
It feels like
I don't know. I mean, there are arguments that could be made for a lot of guys. I mean, they're thinking Daniels at LSU should win it. I don't know where he's at on the favorite. I think he's 2 or 3. But I could see it going to Bo. I think we're gonna have a split vote, a pretty split vote. I think.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be close. But I mean, I think overall, just Oregon taking care of business, right? I mean, you beat Arizona by 36 points. I think that classifies as doing what you need to do against a bad team. Oklahoma played BYU. This game ended up being kind of nip and tuck. BYU trotted out the 3-3-5 offense for the first time this season for them, so the Sooners didn't really react well to that offensively, and obviously defensively. I mean, BYU changing quarterbacks a couple weeks ago, the freshman quarterback finding his groove a little bit maybe, and I think you see that with the performance they put up, 24 points, which is one of their season highs against Big 12 opponents. What was your takeaway from OU on the road in Provo, escaping with the win. Of course, Billy Bowman, that huge pick six that kind of lifted the Sooners late, and without Dylan Gabriel most of that second half with a concussion.
Honestly, as a fan, I was satisfied just because going into Provo like that is tough. So I don't. Obviously, the defense should have adapted better. BYU's offense is terrible. Obviously, it was a new offense that was run, but still terrible. They don't have a ton of talent. But as an OU fan, I am looking forward to seeing how they handle Oklahoma State this upcoming week. So I think that if they break out that new offense again, maybe they could surprise Oklahoma State as well. And even if they stay with a 3-3-5, that's film. That's only on one game. So
Yeah. Speaking of Oklahoma State, they beat Houston 43-30. Houston was up early in this one. This looked like trouble time for the Cowboys, and then the second half, Houston only scored 7 points and got outscored 24-7 in that second half, and Dana Holgorsen continues to lose hair over some of the performances his teams have had this season, where they've lost what in this case I would still classify as a close game, because this game was close. And I think the 13-point deficit's a little misleading here. What was your takeaway from the Cowboys getting the job done against the Cougars last week?
I thought it was a messy win, and I think that the Cowboys are just going to have a messy rest of the season from there on out. Obviously, I'm praying for their downfall, but they haven't looked very good since beating OU. I think they prepared all year for that, and I don't think they've been really putting the foot on the gas for the rest of the season. Obviously, that loss to UCF really hurt them, and I think that they could get knocked off by any of these new Big 12 teams. Houston looked like they were going to beat them at the beginning. I don't know. OSU was like 25-point favorites or something like that. So I think, yeah, it was a disappointing. If you were a Cowboys fan, very disappointing performance.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. We talk about Georgia and how they've looked. Obviously a huge lift to the team with your tight end coming back and being healthy. They blow out Tennessee on the road, 38-10. The Volunteers scored the first touchdown in this game, Zach, and then they just really didn't do anything the rest of the way. And Georgia looked like Georgia. Is this one of those things where Brock Bauer being back huge? Carson Beck almost throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. This this Georgia team, Zach. They just keep looking incredible here as of late. But does this say more about how overvalued Tennessee was coming into the season? We really thought that this was going to be a team that could have been better than last year's Tennessee team, and they've just done nothing of the sorts.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially with a couple ugly losses that they have. Shit, Georgia is good. And I don't care who you are. You could be number 2 Ohio State right now, and you might lose to Georgia 60-0. It's tough. My thought right now is that I think that Michigan or Alabama is probably going to win the Natty. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia just rolls in undefeated and three-peats. That wouldn't surprise me one bit, and I think that Brock Bowers definitely makes the difference there, and I think we saw that with Tennessee. They just rolled over them, and I think that he makes the difference going forward, especially when they get into that top 4 discussion. I think even if they lose against Alabama in the SEC game, they're probably still in.
Yeah, I think the only way you could justify them not being in at this point would be an undefeated Washington, a undefeated Michigan or Ohio State in this case, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, Alabama would have one loss, Georgia and Texas, right? If
Yeah.
if Texas were to finish the job, I mean, I take that back. I don't know if there's a way you can have them out of here. I think even like you said, if they lose to Alabama, in the SEC championship game, and that's it, I don't see how they drop out of the top four. No shot. I just don't. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Now, the better question would be, do you put Alabama in over Texas? If both of those teams end up finishing the job, right? Texas's only loss is to OU, and they've already beat Alabama. So do you put them in front of Alabama? Even though they just won against Georgia. I mean, that would be the biggest question.
You have to put Alabama
And
in.
especially if there's a one-loss Oregon team involved in this as well as a Pac-12 champion, I think that really fucks some shit up because Washington then has one loss, but it's to Oregon that they already beat earlier, and you've got that whole conversation going on. But let's bring it back to Ohio State, right? They just beat the brakes off of Minnesota by 34 points. I mean, did exactly what you wanted them to do. I don't really think there's much to say about the performance of the Buckeyes in it. The Minnesota's just bad, okay? Like we knew that Minnesota wasn't gonna be great. I thought the game was gonna be a little more competitive. When I say a little more competitive, like I thought the final score would be like 37 to like 17. Like I thought I was thinking that. I wasn't thinking it was going to be this bad. But credit the defense for Ohio State for holding a tough team like Minnesota um, to the 3-point output that they had. A more interesting game, Zach, was the Michigan game. They only won this game by 7 over Maryland in College Park, and it was kind of surprising for me because usually we see these Maryland Michigan games, and Maryland hangs in there for the first 5 minutes, and it's over. Go ahead and tell me kind of what went wrong here for Michigan, or have they been a little bit exposed here without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline heading into the game in the morning?
I think so. I think the offense just looked a little bit disorganized. I don't think they made the adjustments that they normally would have made at halftime, especially on defense too. I didn't get to catch much of this game. I just know that I'm okay with Michigan slipping up here and only winning by 7. Um, I still think they're better than Ohio State. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, give us about 10 hours. We'll see. Um,
Yeah.
Look, I mean, like you said, I think the offense did kind of look a little shaky. The defense looked a little shaky as well. I think that Maryland had opportunities here in this game, Zach, to actually win this game, but Maryland's gonna Maryland, and they turned the ball over late. Talia Tagovailoa fumbles the ball, just holding it. I mean, it's just stuff you can't have happen if you're trying to upset a team like Michigan happened, and that's kind of the Maryland we expected, but we expected that in like the first half. Not way late with like 3 minutes to go. They held it off. They held off their bad luck for a while, and then it caught up to them. And speaking of bad luck, Jordan Travis just like snapped the shit out of his ankle. I mean that thing was gnarly. Like I mean that thing was limp noodle gnarly, and that's never a good sign. And they were losing at the time, 13-0 to North Alabama in this game. And Rodemaker comes in. Rodemaker comes in and throws for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Florida State ends up, fueling themselves with that injury to a 58-13 win. Um, I mean, if Florida State finishes the job, Zach, that would be that third undefeated team if Washington does as well. If you have Washington, one of the Ohio State Michigans, and then Florida State, and that's where you have that 3-way tie I'm talking about really rear its ugly head at that point. Without Jordan Travis, a lot of people think that, this team's going to get rolled if they make it into any playoff game. And I would agree. But do you think that if they do run the table with this quarterback, because he seems to be serviceable enough, and I think that that's kind of the luxury you have with what they have in the barns down there in Tallahassee, is you've got somebody there that can really substantiate a decent offense. I mean, it was North Alabama. You're gonna look decent, but I'm saying for this week, against Florida, I don't think he's worse than Graham Mertz. I think this is going to be a tightly contested game, but Do you think Florida deserves to get in if they continue to have an undefeated season, or do you think having this Jordan Travis injury makes the College Football Playoff Committee go, well, we're going to choose the teams that are the healthiest and the best over a team that has a superb resume record-wise?
Yeah, I think they're going to top out at like number 5, honestly. Um, I don't think you put a starting quarterback in the playoff, or a team without their starting quarterback in the playoff, especially this late in the season.
I mean, R.I.P. to his ankle though. Like that thing was
Unless Rodemaker throws like 4 touchdowns against Florida.
well, and if he looks good against Louisville, right? Like if he looks good against
Yeah,
both of those teams, if he throws, let's say he throws 6 touchdowns and a pick over the next 2 games, I think that would, and they win both games.
it needs to be by a sizable margin.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it would be a sizable margin, but I think you're going to have the running backs doing a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to throw for maybe 3 touchdowns one game and 4 the other, and then the running backs will have like 1 apiece, like, one for the starter, 1 for the backup. That's the kind of game you would need, is what I'm saying, in order for that to probably justify putting them in, because it'd be like, oh, they can compete. But I still think they won't do it. I think you're right. I think even if Florida State goes undefeated, you have to keep them at 5, because you just don't want TCU 2 electric boogaloo to happen. If they were somehow to manage a win over a team like an Ohio State or Michigan, or Alabama, I don't think this team would be good enough to beat Georgia even with Jordan Travis. So I'm not even going to entertain that. But I think if they got matched up with any of those other 3 teams with Jordan Travis, or if this guy plays up to the potential we just mentioned, I think that would be something I'd be afraid of, because if they beat them in that game, then they're gonna like I said, get railroaded by Georgia probably, and that's not something I want to see, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think that they get in no matter what at this point, honestly. I just don't think they take the chance against a team like Georgia, right?
Yeah, and that brings us to kind of another conversation starter here. Washington beats Oregon State by 2, right? This game also had the makings of an Washington screwed their season. It really got to that point where you thought, Oregon State's gonna win this thing, and it just never happened, right? Oregon State's defense shut out Washington the whole second half. Washington didn't score the whole second half. Is that concern you as a team that's supposed to be that 4 team if they beat my Ducks again? I mean, is this something where you look at this game and you go, oh shit? I mean, especially after tonight, where the Ducks just railroad Oregon State. I mean, is that one of those where you're like, oh, here comes that Oregon train that's gonna derail this whole entire scenario? Because I mean, you can't have a half like that against Dan Lanning's team. They'll score 28 on you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, I think that we're going to see who the better team is when they play on the neutral field. I think Oregon's going to win by a sizable margin here.
I mean, it seems to be. It seems both teams are in opposite trajectories, right? Like Washington seems to be like plateauing, right? Like they were really on this incline and they've plateaued like the last month. Oregon is like, they kind of had one of those games where it was like, oh, this is kind of concerning. Like for me, like the Stanford game, right? You're up 6-0 at the end of the first quarter. I'm going, oh shit, here we go again. I'm having flashbacks from Andrew Luck days. I'm just or the Kevin Hogan days where I'm just shitting my pants. Um, I was, that concerned me, and then they pulled away, obviously. But Oregon is taking care of business for the most part. These games have not been close for them. There's not been any close Oregon games in the last month and a half. So that's kind of concerning. But I mean, Washington continues to win, and if they continue to win, Zach, they're still gonna have their hopes are still alive until that neutral site game. I think I don't think Washington State's gonna scare them. They could. They could. If Cam Ward has a fantastic game, they could, but I just wouldn't. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think this year is the year for them to surprise the Huskies.
That would be insane if that happened tomorrow. That would clear up a path for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I agree. Texas, they escaped Iowa State. You were pretty solid on thinking the Cyclones were going to end the Texas thought of getting into the Big 12 championship game, and they were leading 3-0 after the first quarter, and then their offense just kind of hit the rocks. But Texas didn't look too impressive either, Zach. I mean, is Texas kind of giving you Washington vibes with their trajectory throughout this last kind of 30 days?
Not after tonight. I mean, they beat the dog shit out of Tech.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to
They
that. But
beat
you're
them
right.
yeah, we'll get there, but they beat
You're
them by
right.
50. I think their trajectory is straight up right now.
Yeah, I mean, but Tech is really bad.
Yeah, true.
Um,
They're 6-5.
Yeah, Alabama beat Chattanooga 66-0 or 66-10. I mean, it was technically 66-0, but that was kind of expected. Missouri beat Florida by 2. Missouri has locked up kind of where they're going to be the rest of the season, whether or not they're going to be a 10-win team or not. It looks like a matchup with OU in a bowl game could possibly be manifesting itself between these two teams, which those fan bases, I mean, you guys are going to have haymakers the week leading up to, if that is the case. But this was more about Florida hanging in it, right? I mean, this is supposed to be a game where you're a top 10 Missouri team. You're supposed to be slaughtering this 5-6, Florida team. I mean, yes, 5-5 coming into it, but I mean, what are your takeaways from this? I mean, it was. I mean, we already know that Missouri's probably playing. I think they're out kicking their coverage. Your thoughts?
I think that it's worrisome for Florida State to see Missouri struggle against Florida like that. I also think that it's proof for me as an OU fan that Missouri's not going to be able to hang. If it comes down to it, I think they're a fraudulent top 10 team. I mean, they've been good. They've been winning games. They deserve their rank, but they're not as good as any other team in that top 10.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that. Louisville, they escaped Miami 38-31. I thought this game was Miami's to lose, right? I mean, this was a 1-point spread game. This was one of those pick'em games, and I mean, this was tight all the way through, Zach. I mean, this was one of those games we were watching early on in the day, going, man, this is a good football game. What were your takeaways from this? I mean, Louisville obviously has their destiny set on beating Florida State, but as far as where they're looking right now, I mean, they're not in a position to sneak in that 4 spot. So I mean, why do we care?
Yeah. The only reason people care about Louisville right now is if they can beat Florida State in that ACC championship and keep a quarterbackless team from somehow getting into that playoff. Louisville themselves, they're okay.
Yeah,
Number 11, probably not.
I mean, they're obviously the weakest of the potential 1-loss teams to fill that 4 spot, right? I mean, in my scenario, right? Because you'd have Louisville with 1 loss, Florida State with a loss, Texas with a loss, Alabama with a loss, and possibly Washington with a loss, right? And Oregon. Those would be the 6 teams with a loss. Just one, vying for that last spot. Obviously, they're at the bottom of the barrel, right?
Yeah, I would say so, because their best win would be against an injured Florida State team.
Yeah, I just wanted to test and see what you thought. Penn State rolled over Rutgers 27-6. Anything to say about that other than?
I'm sorry for my Rutgers pick.
I mean, at least it wasn't. I mean, at least it didn't make. Yeah, that was. Yeah, we thought maybe.
Just wanted to throw one out.
Yeah. Other games that went on, we had a lot of cupcakes. Ole Miss beat UL Monroe 35-3. Nothing to take away there. LSU beat Georgia State 56-14. This game was tight early, but obviously the better team pulled away. Iowa continues to skate by teams. They beat Illinois 15-13. What's the spread gonna be for this Iowa versus Ohio State or Michigan game? Because I mean, this team is so bad, Zach. I mean, it's just, you watch them and it's like, oh my God, the offense is so anemic. It's Punt Fest 2024. Their defense is good, but it's not good enough to stop an Ohio State or Michigan from like putting up 35 points. I mean, they're gonna have to score if they're gonna even be competitive in this game. I mean, what is there to say about this Iowa team?
They have 10 wins.
It's amazing.
They're averaging like
Is
18 points a game.
Is Kirk Ferentz like quietly like a Broyles Award winner? Like is Kirk Ferentz like quietly like stealing this award away from like more deserving people due to the fact that he is like somehow compassed this team to double digit wins that just seems to just hit every single under known to man.
I mean, yeah. Did you see that Nebraska game today? They just pumped.
I'm just, oh my god. I mean, no one wanted to win in the last 2 minutes anyways. They were like, here, you have it.
Yeah.
No, you have it. And then it was just like, oh, let's bring out a kicker that hasn't kicked all season long to try to hit a game winner and just butter through the uprights. I mean, and to hit the under 23 out of the 25-point under. I just ridiculous. I mean, I mean, obviously you pick the over for the championship game, right? I mean, they are just due to just get rolled. I'm not saying they're gonna put up any points, but I'm saying whoever plays them is gonna put up 50. I mean, it's gonna be Wisconsin, Ohio State bad.
I think you're looking at like an over under of like 41 and a half.
You gotta slam it. I mean 42-3 is gonna be like the final.
I'm thinking like I would think like 35-7.
Yeah, still, yeah, you're right. I mean, just because the way both those Ohio State and Michigan possess
27-10, you know?
Oh, 27-10 would be a dream for Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz would come at 27-10,
Yeah.
losing to 17 to either of those teams. If you were to tell him right now, hey, you're only losing by 17 in the I mean, I think he would jerk himself off. I mean, because I think that would be huge for his defense to hold any team with offensive firepower like they haven't seen all season to hold them like that. But yeah, no, I think that game they're just an enigma. I don't know what to think. Do we want to talk about Arizona just smacking the absolute dog shit out of Utah? I mean, you thought Utah was a lock here. I mean, what happened to the Utes? And is Arizona like shockingly like decent now, or is Utah just finally succumbing to the fact that Cam Rising just isn't going to put on a jersey this season? He's coming back next year, but we're not going to see him, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, we're not going to see him. I don't know what happened to Utah. They just played horrible. I mean, Arizona's good, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, what are they, 23? Like, ranked?
I mean, 17 last week. I don't know where they're at this week.
Jeez,
they're up there. I mean, they obviously don't. They where are they at? I can look. Arizona. Do they even play this week? They're supposed to play Arizona State, right? That's supposed to happen. I think that's next. They have the week off. Let me take a gander here. No, next week is National Title Day, or Conference Championship weekend. So where is this Arizona? Oh, there it is. They're 15 right now. They play Arizona State at 2:30 tomorrow. So they're at 15. A solid 8-3 right now, looking to get 9 wins, 10 wins if they win their bowl game. I guess they're good. I don't know. I mean, they're better than we thought they were gonna be. Let's put it that way. I didn't see them being ranked at any point this season. I think in our preseason predictions we had them just being ass.
Yeah, then we had them with
like 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky. Like one of those type of wins. Yeah, so just devastation. Notre Dame just creamed Wake Forest 45-7. Sam Hartman throws for 4 touchdowns in his return home. And I think Wake Forest enjoyed every single touchdown he threw. I mean, because you heard his athletic director just glazing him up and be like, "We loved him first. We loved him first, folks. Many are saying it." And yeah, I mean, they're just gushing over him. I mean, we get it. He said something like, you've dated him for 6 months. We had him for 3 years. Like, we really appreciated him. Like, but we understood that, we just sucked as a football program and didn't want to succumb to embarrassing him any further. So we let him go. Clemson beat North Carolina 31-20. This was one that I had North Carolina. I mean, what's up with Clemson? Like, Clemson's kind of like the same kind of thing as Arizona, right? Like, you start off rocky, you try to find some footing, you look ugly like 90% of the time. what's the deal? Like, is Clemson on the upswing here, or are we looking at just a Clemson team that just continues to be, inconsistent, and they might lose to South Carolina this weekend? What are we looking at?
I think we're looking at a Clemson team that loses to South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Well, it wouldn't be the first time. Got them last
But,
year, get them again.
my North Carolina prediction was terrible.
I mean it. I mean they were ranked. We saw Clemson was favored by 8. We both looked at each other like, "Are you on drugs?" And once again, Vegas is absolutely sober. We're the one on drugs, and they lose by 11. I just don't know. I mean, Klubnik throws for 219 yards and a touchdown. Um, super impressive numbers. Just terrible. North Carolina can't lose that game, and now they've just lost all respect from me, right? Like this was supposed to be your matchup. It was supposed to be North Carolina and Florida State. Now I got to watch Florida State and Louisville, and a Jordan Travis-less Florida State play Louisville at full strength, and probably Louisville's still gonna lose. That's just probably what's gonna happen. Kansas State beat Kansas 31-27. You rolled with the Jayhawks here, and I didn't blame you. But Will Howard's gonna Will Howard, and they Will Howard their way to a win. But this was probably a proper way of this rivalry happening this year. 31-27 competitive game. Kansas State scores in the fourth and shuts out Kansas to preserve a victory. Pretty good stuff considering they were down 27-24 heading into that fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree. I really wanted Kansas to win that game, just to make OU's chances better. But
yeah, I understand. But
what was the spread there? Was it 3.5?
I think it was a pick'em. I think it was. I think you're right. I think it was probably 3.5 here. Let me take a gander here. Look, it was. Oh, Kansas State was favored by 10.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get that pick right, because I had put that they were supposed to win by 10. They only won by 4. So that was my big downfall there. Tulane beat Florida Atlantic 24-8. Not really much to say about that. So let's just go ahead and hop into the games that we've had this week and the games that are going on today/tomorrow. Let's start with tonight, right? Oklahoma beats TCU 69-45. You said it to start off. That was kind of, the game for you today. This game did get tight. I say tight. It was within 2 scores in the third, and OU didn't really play a really good third quarter, getting outscored 22-10. And in the second half, getting outscored 29-27, which makes it look a little better. But most of that scoring for OU happened late in the fourth. Kind of in that garbage time area, and they just couldn't stop Gavin Sawchuk, who had a fantastic day, but not better than Amani Bailey, who ran all over the Sooners. The run defense just not looking good, and like he said, Brent Venables obviously not happy. What were the words again? Just a
abomination of football.
Yeah, an abomination of football. Yeah, and yeah, you combine for 114 points. I don't think there's much defense being played on either side. What were the big takeaways other than Drake Stoops catching 12 balls for 125 yards and a score in his exit?
This was obviously just a game for Dylan Gabriel and Drake Stoops to try to get drafted with. They're both going to be signed after the draft. Probably going drafted just because of how old they are. I would say the defense was the biggest issue in the second half, which was kind of interesting, considering I thought they were going to be our strength in this game. And I was hoping to see Jackson Arnold a little bit earlier, but then we kept letting TCU kind of hang around there. I didn't like the fact that we kind of blew up the score a little bit in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden we're going touchdown for touchdown in the entirety of the second half. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, I can understand. That's got to be a little frustrating. My takeaway was just how impressive Dylan Gabriel looked. 400 yards, 3
Mm-hmm.
touchdowns. Kind of a garbage pick on a long ball that he overthrew. Um, and untimely, to say the least, because they did score off of that and make it a 2-score game at that point. Um, I, I mean, I think overall you looked good. It's hard to say you looked bad putting up 69 points, but the defense was concerning. I mean, the ghost of Alex Grinch was in the building for a little bit. I don't really understand how, but I think that the Sooners defense just kind of let off the gas, right? I think they were just like, we're ahead. They can't do anything. No one wanted to use the effort to tackle Amani Bailey. I think it was one of those that were just like, I mean, it was giving me that. And I think that Venables is going to have some asses running some stadium steps because of that kind of attitude.
Yeah, it was definitely a Big 12 send off with the offense
Yeah.
and lack of defense.
Yeah, you need one of those. You need one of those shootout games, right? Like you couldn't have it. You couldn't have it any other way. You had to have one of those West
Mm-hmm.
Virginia, Texas Tech type shootouts. But this one was never really as close as those games were. But it was still like, I mean, 114 combined points is like, come on, come on. And you had a defensive score in there as well. So I mean, there's that aspect as well. Billy Bowman, again, another trip to the end zone for him in back-to-back games, just thrilling. Um, Good for him. Good for the team. I mean, they haven't had plays like that in what seems like forever to me. So having so many this year is a great thing to have. My Ducks take care of business tonight against Oregon State. Touched on it a little bit, 31-7, just a complete takeover. The Ducks hold the Beavers to under 50 yards rushing, which really made them one-dimensional. And I really have to give props to my defense because run defense has not really ever been the strong suit for my team ever. It's one of those things where our secondary has always kind of been like the upside, and our front seven's kind of been like, well, you can run on us, but you better not throw it. And that's never been really a problem for teams that have been really good that we've played in the postseason. They've been able to take advantage of that several years. Talk about Auburn with Cam Newton, totally took advantage of that. You talk about teams like Stanford when we had Marcus Mariota, where they would take advantage of our poor running ability. Of course, McCaffrey makes it super hard to do anything. But I mean, it was one of those. And Toby Gerhart was never easy to bring down either. Um, you look at some of those Oregon State teams like last year. I mean, a big comeback win for the Beavers last year over my Ducks to kind of ruin our season and solidify its ruin into we're not making the playoff. What was your takeaway from the Ducks game at home against an Oregon State team that seems to be struggling right now and reeling off of their close loss to Washington?
It was exactly what they needed going into the conference game, for sure. Just because I think they have how well they played. Would have been better if they could have scored a couple more touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. And they probably could have. I just think the way Oregon State plays, they possess the ball for most of the game. Time of possession definitely in favor of the
Yeah.
Beavers. And so limited possessions. But you only had like 2 or 3 punts all night from Oregon. And two of those came in the fourth quarter when the game was kind of already decided. So I think you kind of have to take a step back from that. But overall, I would say yes. They're in the driver's seat here. They look good. We'll see how Washington plays Washington State, and we'll kind of go from there. If Washington State can make that a football game, then I think that, like you said, Oregon looks like they're poised to just not beat the brakes off, but at least a double-digit victory probably over Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. They're just playing better football right now. If what I'm saying happens and Washington hangs around for that whole entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa, like you said, escapes Nebraska and Lincoln 13-10. You wanna talk any more about that?
No, just that key plays like sheet is hilarious. Where it's like punt, punt,
Oh yeah.
punt, 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 interception, interception, missed field goal, punt, punt, field goal.
Touchdown. Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah. I mean, we had touchdowns today in Lincoln. Both teams scored a touchdown. Um, and one team hit a field goal, the other hit two. That's just how it goes. Tulane beat UTSA by 13. UTSA again. We knew they were going to be decent. especially how well they've been playing the last 3 years. I mean, you had that unbelievable 12-win season 2 years ago. Um, you had last year's season was pretty good. I think it was a 10-win season last year, and you're 8-4 after the loss tonight to Tulane. Tulane 11-1. Why aren't they closer to the top of the pecking order? I think it's obvious strength of schedule plays a huge role in that. But I don't know if, for instance, I think a Tulane versus Florida State would be a really good bowl game, considering what Florida State could bring to the table athletically in that game, and I think that would be a dandy watch. But Tulane continues to win. What were your thoughts on Missouri just beating the brakes off of Arkansas? I mean, I didn't really see this coming. I thought this was going to be a little bit more competitive, but 20-0 at halftime, and Arkansas doesn't score until late in the fourth, when this game was already 41-0. So I don't know. I don't know if you get an accurate depiction of just how bad Arkansas is. Well, I think we had them as a 7-8 win team this year. What happened to the Razorbacks? I mean, is Jefferson just bad? Like, what's wrong with this team?
Yeah, I thought they were going to be a lot better. I thought they were going to possibly contend for the SEC, and then they just got absolutely dog walked. I don't know. SEC's kind of a mess when you really take a look at it.
Yeah, an unbelievable mess. I think adding OU and Texas to the stew is going to really kind of solidify some things for some of these teams that are kind of in that middle ground, because I think that's kind of where you find Arkansas, because they've lost a lot of games by a single possession. This obviously not one of them, but 1-7 in the SEC was nothing I saw for this team. I didn't see that in my crystal ball at all, and that's why college football continues to be an enigma and unpredictable, because things like this, where you think you've got the pieces, but you ain't got the pieces. Texas, like you said, beat Texas Tech by 57-7. The Longhorns, like you said, upward trajectory now is what you think, but I mean, this is a really bad Tech team, Zach. I mean, this is not. I mean, look, I'm the one who came on here and said that Texas is going to lose to both Texas schools. TCU did me right? They competed. It was close. They probably should have won that game. Let's be honest. Houston gave them some trouble. Probably should have lost that game. Didn't. This game was never in doubt, Zach. I mean, this was, 10. Oh, okay. It was 10-7 at the end of the first quarter. It looked like it would have been like, okay, here we go. And then Texas Tech just didn't score the rest of the way, and you get just absolutely just shiestied on 47-0 scoring run for Texas that included scores in every which way you could possibly get them. Is Oklahoma State going to get blown out? Or is this going to be one of those things where we don't have to worry about that, because BYU is going to take care of business, and we get to see OU and Texas go back at it? I mean, what do you think Texas is thinking right now, other than, obviously, like, we just absolutely obliterated Tech? But I mean, like, is this one of those where their confidence could not be any higher right now?
I think Texas is sending every possible scheme they have for BYU to the Oklahoma State staff right now, because of how much they would rather play OSU than OU.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I'm supposed to disagree with that? I can't. And
I think that you're right, that if OSU wins tomorrow against BYU and gets into the Big 12 game, they're going to get absolutely destroyed by Texas.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing.
Listen, I'm rooting for the Cougars tomorrow.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't blame you for rooting for the Cougars tomorrow. The reason I think Oklahoma State's got a chance is number 0. If Ollie Gordon finds a way to make it to where OSU can milk that clock and not rely on Alan Bowman throwing the football, I think they've got a shot at beating Texas. And Mike Gundy's had Texas's number for years. Even last year. I mean, just think about this, Zach. Last year, they beat Texas, who ended up, with a better record than them at the end of the year. I mean, they put Quinn Ewers and made him look like poo. I mean, he played like poo, but I mean, like, they capitalized off him looking like poo, and ended up beating them at in Boone Pickens Stadium. But I mean, it was just it's just what Mike Gundy's done over the last like 10 years to Texas is he's just taken care of business for the most part. Like obviously he's lost a couple, but I'm saying like it hasn't been to the embarrassingly bad, 56-28 blowouts. I mean those days I think are over, but like you said, this might be the team that does it. So I think you're right. I think that they're sending everything they can to Oklahoma State about BYU to try to help them win it because I think they would obviously rather play Oklahoma State because they look at that team and they go, if we lock down Brennan Presley and we lock down Ollie Gordon, Alan Bowman's not going to beat us with just throwing to Rashad Owens. Like that's just not going to happen. Is OSU's defense going to be up to the task to stop Quinn Ewers and company? Probably. No. Hear me out. They've had good performances against Quinn specifically. And I think that that's going to continue to be a thing. I think that without Jonathan Brooks, you don't have Jonathan Brooks anymore. Trey Sanders is, I don't know if he's even ever going to be healthy. I think he's at like 70%. I don't think he's anywhere close to 100%. And, you look at Xavier Worthy, and he didn't even play that well tonight. He had 4 catches for 49 yards and 1 touchdown. In a game where you scored 57. I mean that says it all to me. And what it says is this is Texas played a really bad team tonight. And OSU played really bad against UCF. Like really bad. Mm-hmm. And that's your fear is you get that Oklahoma State team, right? You get that team. And then the fear for Texas is you get that Houston Texas team. Like that Texas team that played Houston. That's their worst fear because they should have lost that game. There were bad calls in that game that Houston should have probably won that game. And and of course bad execution on the 4th and 3. I mean, you got to catch that ball. I mean, there was stuff that happened that I think if OSU is in that position, OSU makes those plays. Like OSU picks up that 4th and 3.
Let's calm down because OSU also only had their best win because of the mistakes of some refs.
I mean, no, I'm not. I mean, how? Okay, here's my question concerning that. How upset were you that they got that fumble call wrong on your boy Nick Anderson? I mean, he took like 4 steps with the football. He took like 4.
That's not a fumble. It was bobbling.
Tim Brando was reaming.
Bobbling.
I don't know, but it seemed like a pretty bad call. Not that it would have helped.
Why would the refs ever lie? That's what I want to know.
Why would they do that? But here's something you can't lie about, Zach. Penn State just throttled Michigan State tonight, 42-0. And Drew Allard didn't even look that good. He only had 2 touchdowns through for 292. I guess this was all about Katron Allen, 15 carries, 137 yards. No scores though. And your other halfback was your leading receiver for the night with 2 catches for 68 yards. I mean, these stats are not impressive, Zach. These are ass stats. Penn State. They just couldn't beat the big boys this year. And you're looking at like Penn State. If they play Florida State, that game will be good. I don't see them. They're just okay. And I think the Michigan State's terrible. And I think that, I underestimated how bad they're missing their head coach. And I think that's kind of something that I kind of underestimated. I really thought that it just proves he wasn't the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't the problem with the team because they play better with him on the sidelines. And I think this is one of those examples where you see the loss of a head coach affecting a team in a massive way. And I think that it stinks that it came down to that. So let's talk about these games tomorrow, right? I've got the lines pulled up right here. Go ahead and kind of talk about kind of the picks you're interested in here. Ohio State, Michigan 3.5-point favorites in the big house. Big noon kickoff, 11 o'clock Central. Go ahead, give me your 2 cents here.
Ohio State covers.
No. Give me your 3 cents.
Ohio State definitely covers here. I think it's a 3-point Michigan win. The line should be 2.5.
The line should be 2.5. So you think Ohio State covers this thing? You think this is going to be nip and tuck from start to finish? No, it gives that impression.
A game-winning walk-off field goal by Michigan.
Yeah, it gives those vibes. Is that going to be one of your picks?
Yeah, I'm putting that down. Lock it too.
All right, locking it in too. Okay, that's a lock. Okay. Um, I like Ohio State to win this game straight up. Um, I think Michigan's kind of overstayed their welcome, especially without Jim on the sidelines. I think you're starting to see the effects of Jim Harbaugh not being on that sideline. Whether or not, I mean, it hasn't resulted in losses, but I think it's resulted in results that have been kind of gross. I mean, the win over Minnesota was good, but I don't think there was any scenario where Michigan wasn't going to win that game by double digits. But it was impressive that they won it by 30 plus. But I think that they were never going to lose that game, regardless of whether or not Jim Harbaugh was on that sideline. Um, so I mean, I just think right now Ohio State's playing really good football. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Maserati Marv's out here full horsepower. So I think that's something that they're gonna have to deal with as well. It's gonna really depend on the play of JJ McCarthy, right? If we have a good JJ game, then this game is going to probably go Michigan's way in the end, like you said. But if JJ doesn't play well, we can't have another 70-yard performance from JJ. I don't think you can lean on Blake Corum that much against this Ohio State defense. So I think that you're gonna have to have a good game from him, and if you don't, you lose. Same with Ohio State. If Kyle McCord plays like poo, you're not gonna win. Well, Henderson has a big game, but again, these teams are so evenly matched. I mean, you have Henderson, you have Corum, you have McCord and JJ, which, JJ's better than McCord, but statistically, neither of them are going to make you go, wow, or eye test isn't going to make you want to, pleasure yourself to how good they play. I mean, they're not aesthetically pleasing to watch play football. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a close one. Over under 46.5. Go ahead and just give me your thoughts on that. I think
That's got to head over.
yeah, I think it's an over too. I think that's both teams averaging 23 or 24 points. I think you're definitely going over that. I think there's no shot this thing stays under 46.5. So if I'm a betting man, I'm slamming the over like no tomorrow. Here's my upset of the week. You're gonna be mad about this, but here's my upset of the week. I'm picking Texas A&M plus 13 over LSU. It's on the road in Baton Rouge. It's not looking like a game Texas A&M should win, and that's why they're gonna win it. I don't think it helps them in any way, shape, or form other than make LSU look bad. But the over is 66 on this flat. I think the under probably hits here, and I think Texas A&M probably sneaks out of here with a win in a surprising game where Jaden Daniels doesn't play well for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He might try to solidify that Heisman there.
True. I mean, it would be a good send off. I mean, the thing is this: it depends on. I mean, I feel like if that was kind of the way Vegas was leaning, I feel like the spread would be bigger than 13. I feel like they're giving Texas A&M kind of a lot of credit here because Texas A&M really hasn't shown anything where they're supposed to be 13 points, anywhere close to LSU. I mean, be honest, like this should be like a 20-point spread, right? I mean, at least 15 or 16. Like they're definitely giving A&M some juice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think it's just
They fired
situational.
their coach.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I mean, yeah, that's why. Louisville 7.5-point favorites over Kentucky. Um, Another rivalry game that should be a dandy. Devin Leary's been playing okay. But we've seen Louisville, and as we saw, they snuck by Miami last week. How do you think this game's gonna go?
I mean, Louisville should win by a lot.
Yeah, you think they cover that 7.5 pretty easy?
Yeah, I think they win by like 21.
You think you confident enough to lock that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so you're starting double lock here. I like the double lock start here for you. Um, what about Navy and SMU? SMU minus 19.5 against Navy.
Give me Navy to cover that.
Okay, I'll give you Navy to cover that. I'll give you
The
Navy to cover.
midshipmen.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. It's a good pick. Bottom of the barrel Big 12 game. This is your toilet bowl game here, Zach. UCF minus 14 against Houston. at home in the bounce house down in Orlando.
Houston covers.
Houston covers. Yeah, I mean, hard to
Mark it
say.
down.
Mark it. Oh, mark it down. Confident. Okay, let's go. Let's
I mean, we
go.
don't have that many games to choose from.
No, it's true. Boy, this line is kind of confusing to me. I think you're gonna want to take this side. Duke minus 5.5 against Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, Duke.
Yeah, Duke big time. Duke big time here. All right. Boy, I mean, these are all, this is rivalry weekend. We got some rivalries going on here. Looking for ranked matchups here. Here we go. Alabama minus 13.5 against Auburn on the road.
Jeez. Alabama wins by 20.
Yeah, I mean, look, Peyton Thorne is terrible. I don't know if you've watched Auburn try to play football. It's not pretty. It just isn't.
Yeah, but it's on the road. Alabama, put it down.
Yeah, you okay? That's gonna be your last one. All right, I don't blame you. I think it's a solid pick. I think it's a solid pick. I really do. God, I've never put an 18-cent parlay on this for an $8.29 payout. We are living the high life, boys. So there you go. There's Zach's picks. You got that taken care of. Look, I mean, here's some other games for you. Arizona minus 13 against Arizona State.
Yeah, that should it. You should take that.
Yeah, I mean that should be Arizona's game to lose, right? I mean that's wow. I mean, especially after they beat Utah the way they did, you would think that they would give them a little more love than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, gee. So wait, what's the spread?
13.5.
Yeah, no way. Arizona. That's gonna change before the game starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I get that it's a rivalry game, but like that's just giving Arizona State way too much credit. I mean, no shot, right? I mean, that's just crazy to me. That's bananas. Yeah, I'm gonna take Arizona minus the 13. I think that's a great pick. Put my $1.25 on that. Let's go. Oklahoma State minus 16.5 against BYU. I I kind of like BYU to cover that shit. Like, I mean, I'm picking BYU plus the 16.5. I think if OSU wins this game, it's by like 10. I mean, there's no way in hell that they're blowing out BYU tomorrow. Like, if you think that OSU is blowing out BYU better be down to like their 7th string quarterback. Like, there's no shot the way that BYU is playing that they should lose by more than 17 points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think BYU wins, but a little biased there.
Marquee game, one that me and you are both going to have eyeballs on 110%. And we normally wouldn't, but this game we will. James Madison minus 8 against Coastal Carolina. This should be a dandy. Both of these teams are really good.
Coastal Carolina should win.
I don't know why, but that just seems like this. I mean, this game is going to be close. This game is going to be a nail biter. I don't see this game not coming down to like to the last quarter at least of play. Like it should be tied going into the 4th. Oh, here's a garbage one. No one's watching this game. Virginia Tech minus 2.5 against Virginia. Give me Virginia. I mean, I'm sorry. Virginia Tech is bad. Give me Virginia. It's and Virginia Tech's going on the road. Give me the Cavaliers. I mean, I'm telling you, they are a tough team. with a tough out. Another bad game that I'm not going to bet on because I don't like the Big Ten is Wisconsin -3 against Minnesota. Your thoughts?
I think Minnesota should win that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't like Wisconsin's offense very much. Guess what the over is on this game? It's 44.5. Slam the under, right? I mean,
take the over.
Take the over? You think take the over? You think it's gonna be like 31 to 28?
I think Minnesota.
The Minnesota rolls here,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but you think it's gonna be a shootout though, right? Or you think it's like 49-7?
I think it's going to be something like 35-14.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Um. Oh. You're gonna. I don't know if I love this line. Washington -15.5 against Washington State in Seattle.
Washington. If you're number 4, Washington should be 30-point favorite.
Especially against Washington. I mean, they're really giving some juice to the fact that these are rivalries, and they're I guess expecting these teams to rise up to the challenge. But Oregon State did not rise up to the challenge tonight. I mean, I feel like we're getting at a same kind of vibe with this Washington State-Washington game. 31-7 sounds like a final from this game as well. I mean the way that Washington's playing, they're not putting up 40 plus like they were earlier this season. So I feel like that prediction is pretty solid, but that would cover.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with that. I think Washington just dominates this game and just stays number 4 until Oregon beats them.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington -15.5. That's my 4th pick of the weekend. All right, here's a line for you. We're interested in this game. Florida State -6.5 against Florida on the road in the Swamp. We know the Swamp is nasty. It's tripped up some teams in the past. We remember all riding the Tennessee bandwagon until that happened. The Swamp disaster happened. Is Florida State poised for Swamp disaster too, Electric Boogaloo?
I think that's the case.
Whoa. I mean,
just because of the Jordan Travis injury.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to ignore. It really is. It really is. But look, upset special of the week, folks. Listen. Give me Georgia Tech +24. Let's go, baby. We're getting it done. I mean, I think they cover. I think they lose by 20, but I think they cover. Give me Georgia Tech +24. They're not winning this game, folks. I'm not giving you that upset. I'm not giving you money line upset. I'm giving you their covering upset. I think Georgia Tech hangs in here a little bit longer than expected. Look, think about how they played UNC. Think about how they played Clemson. Think about how they've played these better teams, right? Now, and Miami. Throw Miami in there as well. Beat Miami, beat North Carolina, hung in there with Clemson, right? Now, we take a step back, right? We look at those teams, right? Well, UNC really got ramrodded this weekend. Not looking great. Let's take a look at the other win you had against Miami. Ooh, Louisville got them by 7, but again, you lose to a good Louisville team, top 10 team. Can't really debate that. And Georgia Tech beat Miami. So, but of course, I had some help by that terrible not taking a knee thing. That was kind of a gimme there. And then you had the Clemson game. I just, you lost that game, but you were competitive. Well, I mean, you think 24 is too small of a line here? You think this is like a 45-point blowout? I mean, I mean, this is on the road again. This is on the road for Georgia. They're not going to be in Athens, so this is going to be on the road, down the road. Go ahead, give me your opinion here.
I think Georgia wins by 50.
I'm gonna throw up. I mean, the spread on here is 59.5 for the over. The total is 59.5. So they think this is gonna be a score fest, or they think, like you said, that Georgia's gonna win this thing 60-10. I just think Georgia Tech hangs in here for no reason, right? I mean, this just seems like one of those games, and the reason I say it is A, it's a rivalry. B, I really think Georgia Tech has something in their quarterback. I think he is pretty decent. I think the problem for Georgia Tech is the defense, right? You have to have a solid defense, and they have a okay defense, but their offense has been the problem most of the year until they've switched to this new quarterback, and that's who they've had for the last 5 weeks. And I think we've seen a vast improvement in the offensive play. Obviously, Georgia will be ready. The film will be seen. There's things they can obviously take away to try to hurt an inexperienced quarterback like what Georgia Tech has back there. Um, I mean, I just, I want this game to be competitive because I love competitive games. But at the same time, this just seems like a spot here where you're on the road, you're playing your rival, they're juiced. I think Georgia Tech probably leads heading into the second quarter, and I think you have the script kind of flip for the next three. But I just think Georgia also knows they can kind of play with their food here. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel they're gonna run the football a lot. The clock is gonna be going by super fast because Georgia Tech runs a run heavy offense as well. So you're not gonna have a lot of incomplete passes. I think you're gonna have a lot of third and fives, third and fours for Georgia, where they're going to, try to get Brock Bowers open for a little tight end, curl routes in the middle of the field. They're not going to be looking for long balls. Carson Beck's just not that quarterback that likes to launch it deep. There's lots of things that play in favor of this game for Georgia Tech to at least cover the 24.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that could happen.
Come on. Come over to the side. Come on.
No, because Georgia's going to win it by 50.
Hey, I tried. I tried, folks. I tried. Look, South Carolina plus 7.5 against Clemson. This game is in South Carolina. The Sandstorm will be cranked to a 10. You like South Carolina here? You think this is a spot here for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think I like South Carolina. I'm always riding with them because I'm riding with my boy Spencer.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pick this game because the spread is just kind of too iffy for me. But I agree. I think this spot is good for South Carolina. After they won last year, I think they've got some confidence that they can probably do it again, especially with a team that they probably feel like is not as loaded as last year's team seemed to be, as far as record wise and the way they were playing last year. So yeah, I don't know if South Carolina wins this game. I think it will be kind of close, just because both these teams, to me, seem to have identical talent levels. And I think that's kind of one of those things where it'll come down to execution. It won't really come down to who's the more talented team because I feel like they're pretty even. It should be a good one. I mean, the 6:30 time slate here is looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
The couch will be locked in. We got. Okay, tell me if this is kind of whack. I think this might be my second pick. Kansas -7 against Cincinnati. Am I off my rocker for taking Kansas here?
Yeah, I take Kansas.
That just seems wrong. Bean's playing, right? We're rolling with.
Either way.
That's technically the last game I'm picking. It seems like a solid pick there because I feel like that's a doozy. Yeah, 7. Yeah, it's on the road, in the Nippert. You think they're giving that kind of too much credit, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm saying like you think they're giving the fact that this game is on the road more credit to Cincinnati being that 7-point dog.
Oh,
Like that's got to be why, right?
yeah, I guess. I would take Kansas. If the spread was 15, I would take Kansas.
No, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more to do here, because the rest of them are not really between ranked teams here. North Carolina -2.5 against North Carolina State.
I don't know. North Carolina's been playing terrible at the end of the season. So.
Exactly. I think the spread is right though. I think the closeness is warranted due to the fact about how bad North Carolina has played. I think North Carolina probably wins this, but I think it's ugly. I think it's really, really ugly. Now, Alabama and Georgia has already been set in stone for the SEC title game. We know this, right? Right now, the spread is Georgia minus 4.5. Okay, just letting you know. Just letting you know. And the line for the Florida State Louisville game is Florida State minus 5.5. Those are the lines right now. Just keeping you updated with those. As tomorrow we will solidify more people falling into those slots. Let's talk about real quick the Big 12 tiebreaker scenario, right?
Mhm.
Go ahead and give me kind of your synopsis of how this is going to shake out here.
Well, now that Texas won tonight against Texas Tech, that means if Oklahoma State loses to BYU and then OU gets in, then we have a Red River rematch. But if Oklahoma State wins, then they get in. So
yeah, a win in your end scenario here, and Oklahoma State doesn't really play well in those scenarios.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I think that Oklahoma State's going to lose. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm kind of with you on that. I think that Cougars look poised to take this one, even though it's on the road. So let's get into this. This is where it happens. All right, here we go. Who's drinking all of the Kool-Aid? I'll tell you right now who's drinking all the Kool-Aid. And boy howdy, do we have a dandy for you.
You want some Kool-Aid?
Man, you know I want some Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Show the love, bro. Drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't the end, baby. It's a new day. Future so bright, I bought some new shades. So stack bottoms up. Drink the Kool-Aid.
All right, Zach, we got a tweet here from I'm Derbatman, also known as Boomer Beamer on X/Twitter. He says, y'all think Lebby is going to end up at Mississippi State? Is he drinking the Kool-Aid, Zach, or is this one of those where the Kool-Aid powder may be exposing some truth here?
I think we're seeing the future.
Oh, please indulge me. What makes you so confident here that Lebby is probably out of here and taking over the Mississippi State Bulldogs job? Give me some tea.
Just because of how angry the Sooners fans have kind of been with Lebby throughout the season, he's been kind of better at the end, but I don't know. I think he's the type that's going to take the first job that's offered to him. I'm surprised he didn't get offered one earlier. But I think we're going to see him at Mississippi State next season. I don't know. Maybe he wants a year with Arnold.
See, that's kind of where I'm at too. I mean, he's obviously from what we've heard from him personally, right? Obviously, he was asked about it after the game today, and his response was, we got to focus on next opponent. We got to focus on whether or not we're going to be playing next weekend. That seemed to be kind of not next weekend, but I think these games are in a couple weeks, right? It's not next weekend, is it?
December something.
So it is next week then. Yeah, it is next week.
No,
so,
I think it's like the 16th of December kind of area.
Okay. So 2 weeks from okay. So yeah. we're a little bit away, but anyways, he's going to be focused on that OSU game tomorrow, and that's going to be where most OU fans are going to have their attention turned. Look, I think the Art Briles thing definitely has something to do with it. I think because of the fact that you let Pops on the field and not the best reputation and why'd you do that, and Joe said don't do that, and it was just that, and then I think, like you said, the fan base doesn't seem to be very happy with the product he's putting out there. But the results, you take away the Oklahoma State game and the results aren't really as bad as it seems. It's just that game took you out of contention for the playoff, and that hurts, obviously. So what?
I just think we can do better.
Yeah,
Lebby's cutting it, sure. He's cutting it, but he's not exceeding the offense to the level it could be.
Yeah, he's not OU worthy. He's good enough to be the guy at several other schools, but he's not good enough to elevate this team to where it needs to be.
If Oklahoma State was smart, they would fire Gundy and hire Levy.
I mean, that's a thought, but that's never going to happen, especially after you beat OU. I just don't see the alumni or the boosters being upset with Gundy, even if Gundy were to lose this game this weekend, right? Like, if you were to lose this game this weekend to BYU and be out of the Big 12 championship game, and then you get embarrassed in your bowl game. Like, if that were to happen, right, they're still not firing Mike Gundy because you beat OU. Like, I mean, like that's
Jeez.
I mean, that's the
How
reality.
about delays and
I mean, it is, but I mean, like, and the thing is like, it's hard to like separate yourself from someone who's like the winningest head coach at your program in its history too. Like, it's kind of that thing too, where it's like, oh, like, he's led us to this point, he's better than anybody else, and the bar wasn't like super high or anything, but it was like, they got to that level where they were considered for BCS championships. They got to that level where they were being considered for, multiple Big 12 titles. Sure, you didn't get it done against Baylor. Probably should have.
12 years.
What?
It's been 12 years.
It has. Like, I mean, and the thing is like, the first year was rough, but I mean, I think you go from where they were at to where they are now, and he has made this program significantly better and more relevant than it was when he started. And
Yeah.
I think that that's hard to separate yourself from, because as good as Mike Gundy is, you can't have losses to South Alabama by 26 points. Like, you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can't mess around with your quarterbacks for 3 straight weeks when you've had a whole entire summer to figure that shit out. Like, I mean, like, we if you rolled into the season with Alan Bowman being your starter, and he had been your starter from the get-go with no questions asked, you probably don't lose to South Alabama. I'm just saying, you probably don't. He wasn't playing great, but I think because I feel like Mike Gundy was doing the merry-go-round thing all summer long, too. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I think he had them rotating first-team snaps all summer, all spring, and he still didn't know. But like people have said, you didn't let any of them get into a rhythm. You didn't let any of them really gel in any way, shape, or form. And finally, you just were like, fuck, I guess it's Alan Bowman. Thank you for the follow, Meme Land Cat. Look, I mean, that's reality. Is they're not going to fire him, no matter what. But, yeah, Mississippi State comes calling. Levy's probably going. I would say he's half. I mean, the Arnold thing is a thing. But the thing is, if Dylan Gabriel comes back, Arnold's gone too. So let's just hope he takes Arnold to Mississippi State with him.
Mississippi State.
What? What?
If Dylan Gabriel comes back, Arnold's going to Mississippi State.
Yeah, like that. Like, that's a given. Like, and then we'll have a matchup between the two teams that'll be one of the hottest TV commodities of the year, if Mississippi State is even decent. But that's, this is fan fiction at this point. So let's, I want to touch on one more thing before we get out of here. Do we want to talk about the Josh Giddy thing? Do we want to talk about the dude? We have to, right? Like, I mean, like, I feel like
I'm at the point that I'm just like, get him out of my organization. I don't want to deal with it. I don't care if it's true. I don't care what it is. He's been careless enough that I want him out.
Right. I mean, because the thing is is obviously, like, he's playing tomorrow, right? Like, he's in the lineup. They didn't put him on the injured reserve list. He's playing tomorrow. So obviously Sam Presti feels good about the information he has about the situation enough to not. And think about this, Zach. This organization, if they thought this was, they would have literally released him like yesterday, if they really thought that it was this bad. But the thing is it's like, public perception doesn't care. Like, it's already out there.
The
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Investigating.
Yeah, it's already out there. So
NBA is going into it.
So now give me the rundown of the information you know about this situation, because from what I've heard, it's a 16-year-old female. Is that not 15 but 16? Is that what we're hearing here, or is it 15?
I don't know. I think that's the thing that people are trying to confirm, really.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's like how old is she?
yeah, because like the thing is it's like
They're pretty sure she's in high school.
no, yeah,
Now,
like I think we know it's a high schooler. I think that's confirmed. Like Josh is going to prom.
and
Like
even if she was 18 as a high schooler, that's crazy.
yeah,
Come
what is
on,
he?
man.
He's
Like,
22, right? He's 22.
21 or 22 doesn't
Yeah, I
matter. You're
mean,
in the NBA, man.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's tough, right? Because cause like, yeah, you are 22 years old. You know, you can pull any bitch you want. Like, you got money. Like, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like you're not ugly. You're Australian, which already for American girls, like panties soaked. I mean, like, I don't know what more you need to do to like you want you want a high school, you want to go to prom, like Josh wants to go to prom, like maybe he wants to go to prom. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have it over there. Missed
No.
out. Was doing basketball camps.
The,
Never
the
got
thing
to
is, there's a
go.
lot of like old tweets from years ago surfacing of people being like, "Y'all know Josh Giddy likes underage girls, right?" And
Like from when? Like when he got drafted, or like
no, like
before
from
that?
just the past, like since he got drafted, people have reported apparently he hung out with a bunch of 17-year-olds at some like high school or something.
I mean, he
It's
does kind of look like the it clown a little bit. I mean, he kind of
it's
has
not good.
some Skarsgård vibes to him. What's going on, Spectre?
I don't think I think he's not gonna play tomorrow.
I think he does. I think he's hey, whatever his totals are, pick the under.
And he's good at hitting the under.
Yeah, he's good at hitting that under. Whoa! I mean that situation is wild. I mean, look, we got the images of the Snapchat. The girl's like, I just fucked Josh Giddy. Like we saw the Snapchats. Like you're in the bathroom with her. You got shirts off. Like like it's a thing. You look. I mean, it's obviously consensual. Like let's get that out of the way. This is a consensual.
Yeah.
This is a consensual relationship.
Unless she's under a certain age.
Well, yeah, if she's 15, this is fucked up. Like if she's 15,
Yeah.
like you're going to jail. Like I mean,
You're going to jail.
I mean,
And I think the thing is, like, most states, it's like 16 is where you're like, okay, you're not going to go to jail, but you should definitely be kicked off the team.
I just, yeah, I mean, it's just like, to me, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, I mean, like, you can convince me in several ways that there are people that are his age where it's like, if they're dating an 18-year-old and you're 22, like, okay, like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but like you said, you're an NBA player though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like if you're just a Joe Blow, right? If you're just going to college and you're about to finish and you decide to hook up with an 18-year-old, like whether it be a freshman in college or a senior in high school, like obviously there's nothing wrong with that legally. But I mean like the optics aren't great, you know? Like for me, for example, like I'm 30, but like I wouldn't completely push out the window, dating someone that's 20. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't. But I mean, but then it's like, oh well, that's that's tomatoes and potatoes. Like you're not even like comparing the same thing. But the thing is like the age difference is way more than like theirs. But it's the situation, right? It's like she's in high school, dog. Like you're not even dating like a college freshman. Like you're literally dating someone that's going to winter formal. Like holy fuck. What is wrong with you? Like, I mean, it's like, and the thing is, it's like, I don't care how attractive she is 16 or whatever. Like, I mean, like, dude, like, there are girls that are like your age that are hot. Like, I mean, like, it's not like you're like 79 years old, like, oh, I can't find anybody that's good looking. Everybody's got boobs down to their knees. Like, you're not even like working with the same dating pool. Like guys want to be you. Like, I mean, like, there's like not right now, but I'm saying like I mean like that like I'm just saying like
dude,
like I can't imagine being at a high school where I gotta compete to date this bitch with Josh Giddy. Like I'm not winning that. Like I might as well just yeet myself.
I'm offering up my autograph, my Josh Giddy autograph
for free now, right? Like it's not even $1
for free.
Yeah, not, you can have it. Like fucking take it.
Anyone that wants it.
What is it on? Like what? Like I know you got it at work, but like
Cheesecake Factory receipt.
Oh sweet Jesus! Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mark Dagnall's that way too, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, do you get rid of that one too if he's just like playing him tomorrow? You're just like, oh well, this is just
He's not. He didn't do it.
he didn't do it. No, I mean like, oof. I mean, if he plays tomorrow, like, does that? I mean, if he's gonna probably play tomorrow, like, there's no way he doesn't, right? Like, I mean, I just don't. Is this blown over already? Like, no one's talking about this, right? Like, no big media people have mentioned
Everybody's
it,
talking
right?
about it.
Have any of the
Everybody's
big
talking about it.
have any of the
The
big
media mentioned it.
they really?
Yeah, they asked him about it.
Well, no,
He said no
I
comment.
know local media did. I watched the videos, but I'm saying like Adrian Wojnarowski isn't tweeting about this, right?
He did tweet about it.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah,
we
so
got
Shams, because the NBA opened an investigation.
Oh, well, see, I didn't even know about the investigation. Like I was so far behind. Like I just thought the team had like oh
Yeah,
here
the
we go.
NBA put out a thing that was like, we're investigating the allegations that Josh Giddy had inappropriate conduct with a underage minor.
Let me see.
Something like that.
Where's the tweet at? Do 3 days ago. Mello. I don't see anything about. Woj didn't tweet about it. Maybe Shams did, but Woj hasn't.
I saw tweets from him about it.
Yeah, no. Woj hasn't said anything. I bet Shams did though. Shams is unhinged. He'll tweet about anything.
Yeah, but
yeah. So
by
I mean,
the way, the big media's got their hands on
oh,
it.
here it is. 10 hours ago. Shams. Yes, Shams did 10 hours ago. Woj hasn't said shit. NBA looking into allegations of Oklahoma City's Josh Giddy having any inappropriate relationship with a minor that may have emerged via social media. Leaks says leak spokesman Mike Bass. Someone posted a gif of a guy running down the escalator at the airport and said Isaiah Thomas getting through the airport trying to get to OKC to ask for a job. I mean, I don't know about that. Most of the comments in this thread are taking the over. The prize picks 0.5 guilty verdicts. Take the over. take the over. Ugh. You gotta be Josh kidding me. Oh, I fucking hate that. Josh is averaging 15 on and off the court. Oof. You know, I mean, looks like it's 15. I'm seeing a lot of 15s in here. If she's 15, I mean, straight to jail. I mean,
jail.
I mean, like, how can you not have, like, how can you play him tomorrow? You cannot play him tomorrow. No shot. You're playing him tomorrow. No, they can't. You're so right, Zach. They can't. I mean, if this is anything close to what we think it is, there's no shot. You can't. You just fucking can't. I mean, 15 can't even drive. Like, girl has a learning permit. Like, you picked her up. Like, oh, it's over.
Number one with Karl Malone.
Yeah, like you were trending. Yeah, you were like I saw. Like I knew it was bad when I saw that. I wasn't like, oh, that's because of assists. Like, no, that's John Stockton. You're thinking, oh no, I know what this is about. Like, I mean, I knew immediately. I was like, oh, what did he say? I thought it was something maybe he had tweeted, and then when I clicked on it, I was like, oh, this is way worse. I mean, it is. It's bad. I mean, if you're the Thunder, you got it. You got to let him go, right? Is the rebuild over now though? Like was he a key enough piece for this to really put a wrench in things, or do you think this is a very replaceable situation here?
We're just fine without him.
Yeah, you think they're fine?
He's been playing like ass anyway. Ship him out of there.
So like, who gets those minutes, right? Like you want to see
Kaysen.
Oh, you want to see Kaysen with the minutes?
Yeah, he gets them.
I think you just bump Isaiah Joe's minutes, like just triple him.
Him too.
Just keep him in the whole game. I mean, I just the thing is they need like a 3-point shooter that's like spot up like that, and I think that like that's something they really need. And Josh Giddy ain't it. He can't hit threes. He's a good passer, but the Slob Kings have been slobbing on 15-year-old knobs. So I don't know if you can. I mean, that's just wild. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my question is, how do you meet these kids? Like that's like
social media.
yeah, but it's
I
like
don't know.
what makes you like
Apparently, it was at a club. I don't know.
oh I mean like so like yeah I mean, well if it's at a club like most clubs you have to at least be 16 here to get in.
And they were claiming fake ID. I think is the story. I don't know. He's out of there. I think.
Yeah, I mean I don't. Wow, that's just wild. Oh God. Well, there are videos. Okay, well, anyways, found somebody scrolling through the video feed of him hitting that thing from behind, so that's great. Love that. Love, love. Yeah, there's no like here. I'll send it to you. There's no like actual like they're not playing the video, but like you can see like the thumbnails. I just sent it to you. And it's not. I mean, it's looking like maybe some stuff went down there. That's definitely real. There's multiple accounts of that.
Oh no.
I mean, that looks legit to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of people posting that exact same video.
Oh no.
So yeah,
It's Jover.
yeah, it's Jover. I think someone's like, I just got a Josh Giddy jersey 3 days ago. Generally, what am I supposed to do with it now? You have to burn it. Like
Burn.
you have to boil it and then burn it. I mean, there's no shot you can keep it. You can't be a fan. I mean, it's just she looks young. She looks young. Like I mean, like there's no doubt she's underage, but like how far underage is the question. And the thing is I think any year underage is probably too far underage to keep him on the team. I think you have to ship him back, extradite him back to Australia. I think it's over. I think
learn Chinese, buddy.
yeah, well, if you're lucky. I mean, more like learn
Yeah.
like Polish or like learn like the native language of
Just go back
Latvia.
to Australia, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go back to Australia where apparently that type of behavior is more accepted. It's really not. Anyways, any final thoughts before we get out of here? I just wanted to touch on that because I just thought, I mean, we have to. Like, it's kind of obligatory, unfortunately. Anything
No,
else?
nothing else for me.
Yeah, I think I ruined my appetite. Like I just, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, oh my god, like seriously though, like you could be dating somebody of like actual like girth, like social girth. Like I mean, like you could be dating like an OU cheerleader or like like, and that would be like low totem pole. Like I wouldn't even be like top notch. That would be like But I mean, you could be dating like a C-list celebrity. Like I mean like, but instead you chose somebody from Deer Creek. Like Jesus Christ, I mean you gotta let him go. You gotta get rid of him. There's just all right. Let's get out of here. I'm done. I'm cooked. Folks, look, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming on, Zach, and during our after darkness. Sleep in, have a good day, watch some football, keep in touch. Good night, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
I'll see you later.
See you, man.